You know, every now and then when things are quiet, I randomly look back and think about Duxi. And I always ask myself the same question. Was it really that bad? At first glance, it was fun. You met all different kinds of people. Loki was like networking for children. And then I get slapped by the spirit of memory and remember everything. Yes, that shit was insane. Nah, let's start with the schedule. You had to be up early, okay? No question about it. It doesn't matter if it's winter and you freeze your hands off doing wudu. It doesn't matter if you're sick. You had to go. If the macalin is not enforcing it, best believe your parents are going to. So what happens? While others are spending their weekend morning watching Cartoon Network, you gotta wake up 7 or 8 in the morning just to go to Duxi. One of the worst parts of Duxi was the schedule. On top of having school 5 days of the week, you had to go to Duxi after school and on the weekends. Weekend? What is a weekend? Nope. Wake up in the morning and go to Duxi. There was no rest. Duxi was a part-time job itself. So you go there, okay? You walk into a torn up basement or an old apartment that's next to a Somali shop that reeks of sambus filled with salid. Before you even enter, you hear some kids reciting "Qul a'udhu bi rabbi-" Pwah! Someone just got slapped and it echoed through the entire local. You swallow your fear and enter. See, the logic of a Duxi was that of a boot camp. You go in and you cannot leave until you fulfill the objective of that day. Sometimes it was regular ashir, progress in the Quran. Sometimes it was the rarest, aka repetition. And sometimes it was learning hadith. Whatever it was, you had to complete it. There ain't no, معلم please, I need this, I have to go. Pwah! وريها لقى عاموس ماله مسعود 10 كبح. And the Duxi does not believe in mistakes, bro. Either you come correct or you face the punishment. Mispronouncing one letter of the Quran was treated like a criminal offense. But what made it worse wasn't even the ma'alin sometimes, it was the older hoodlums. Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. Kids held back since the dawn of man, built like assistant security guards, on the same fit since 2015. Them men was struggling and their entire role was to intimidate you because they were bums that had no life. They were stuck on Wal Asri and projected their anger towards you. But before I get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments what are your craziest Duxi experiences. Alright man, let's go. I remember one time this guy way older than me and bigger than me was cheating while معلم كبحي. I looked at him and he made a facial expression saying, "Don't snitch or you will die." I was like, who does this guy think he is? So I snitched and exposed him to Malinka, and of course he got a beating. And let me tell you something, I was never the kid that got regularly beat, but I loved watching other kids get beat. It was the highlight of my day, wallahi. So while Malik is genuinely putting hands on this hoodlum, with tears he looks at me and says, "Wallahi, you will see, you will see." Me was like 9 at the time, said, "Who cares?"
We do not care.
On the way home, he catches me off guard, and that's when I realized this guy was way bigger than I thought. When he was sitting down, my heart dropped. And then he starts pressing me, and I said, okay, my bad, well, I won't do it again. But it was winter time, and he was not having it. Quickly, he took a full hand of snow and slapped me on my face, bearing the snow on my face. I was like, damn, I've learned my lesson. And looking back, I got off the hook pretty easy, actually. Now, these guys were usually people with long hair. One thing about Duxi, never think about having long hair. If your haircut wasn't military certified with a badge from the local barbershop, you was rebellious. If you had curls, you were trouble. If you had dreads, God forbid, congratulations. You were apparently running an underground drug operation at the age of 13. Duxi deadass has stricter hair regulations than some corporations. The worst part about this was you could never skip Duxi. Such an appalling thought should never get to your head. You would miss one day thinking you were slick. The next time you walk in, Malinka looks at you and he says, "Duxi gamurku damadu si jog. We're gonna talk after this." And you knew your fate was sealed. If you attempted to lie to the Duxi, your punishment would be 5 times as severe when you came back. It got to a point that one time when I was in Duxi, these 3 dudes had enough of it and attempted to escape through the window on the 2nd floor. 2 of them deadass took the leap of faith, landed and got injured and ran away. How? Who does that? Who jumps from the 2nd floor just to escape Duxi? That should tell you what kind of place Duxi is. The crazy part is the 3rd one was too fat to even pass through the window. And unfortunately, he became the sacrificial lamb for his friends to break out. People treated escaping Duxi like prison break. They had clans, they had sacrifices, they had people who were watching the macalin, everything, bro. That should tell you how Duxi actually is, man. Anyways, man, that was it for this video. Let me know your craziest experiences in the comments. And as always, stay shining and masalam.